The Hawkeyes. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
And the Hawkeyes are in Hollywood. Well, not quite, but they have come to the Los Angeles area and the expanded footprint of the new look Big Ten. Los Angeles, L.A., La La Land. It goes by a number of identities. We know it as the City of Angels. But Los Angeles and L.A. County, a sprawling community home to 3.8 million people who have moved here from all over the world to live and work. This area has been flat out under siege with a half dozen major wildfires north and east of downtown. Flames have consumed 62 square miles. That's an area larger than San Francisco, killing at least 24 people. There's another dozen to 15 unaccounted for or missing. More than 12,000 structures have been destroyed by flames fanned by sustained winds of 50 mile an hour, gusts up to 70, 80 miles an hour as you get closer to the mountains. And with fire analysts saying now, as of this afternoon, the most dangerous day will be tomorrow. There will be basketball tomorrow. The Iowa Hawkeyes meet the Southern Cal Trojans. Tip-off is a little bit after 9:30 Iowa time. Our pregame coverage will start at 8:30 here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. There's no time for Disneyland or Universal Studios or the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but our thoughts and prayers and concerns are with the people of Los Angeles and Los Angeles County tonight. But that said, the Hawks are here to play basketball not once but twice. USC tomorrow night, and then the UCLA Bruins up near Beverly Hills, Brentwood on Friday night, and that could be iffy. But they're here to play two. They will play two games. The Fires would be closer to the UCLA campus than they are, obviously, to downtown Los Angeles and where USC is located, the Galen Center. But if they have to move the game away from Pauley Pavilion, the Hawks would play either at Southern Cal, Long Beach University, Long Beach State, ironically, where Lute Olson got his Division I start, would be an option. But they will play somewhere. They're not coming out here and then returning without having played the Bruins. Because with a 20-game Big Ten schedule, you know, those windows are tight. And we'll talk about that as the week progresses. Right now, Iowa's thoughts are not only with the people of L.A., but obviously on the University of Southern California Trojans, who play tomorrow night against the Hawks. Will host the Hawks tomorrow. I'm Gary Dolphin. Nice to have you along. We wish we were back at the Hyatt Regency in the Iowa River Landing in Coralville, our presenting sponsor of Hawk Talk with head coach Fran McCaffery. But instead, for this road trip, we're coming to you live from the Hawkeyes Team Hotel here in downtown L.A. And you just enjoyed the Jan Jensen Hawk Talk program with Rob Brooks. So welcome into a double dose of Iowa basketball. Bobby Hansen, as always, is alongside Coach McCaffrey. We will welcome Fran in here shortly. He's wrapping up practice. We left practice a little bit ago to get here and get on time, get on the air on time. And we're glad you can join us along the Hawkeye Radio Network. As soon as the Hawks wrap up practice, it's about a 10-minute drive to the hotel, and Coach McCaffrey will be here as well. In the meantime, Bobby and I will talk about those Southern Cal Trojans. There's a number of ways you can reach us to join the conversation tonight. We'll get those email and text messaging and internet addresses to you that you can reach us here for the next 90 minutes. We're on the air until 8:30 Iowa time per usual. Bobby, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Gary. Yeah, we enjoyed practice, as you mentioned, this afternoon over there at USC, and got a flavor for the surrounding area here in Los Angeles. And to echo your comments, of our thoughts and prayers are with the folks of L.A. County out here, because it's going to be bad tomorrow when you watch the local news. I mean, it's like the floods in Cedar Rapids back in the day when it was nonstop news, and the stories on the heroes of the fire and the firefighters and law enforcement and the U.S. Forest Service trying to help people out, people helping each other out. Unfortunate loss of life, but it's unfathomable when you see the video that they're showing out here.
And it's 24/7 on all the news or all the local television stations. I mean, obviously back home, you've been watching on CNN and Fox and all of the major networks. It is incredible. And for those of you who are familiar with Los Angeles, if you've been out here for a Rose Bowl, like many Iowa folks have, downtown LA, downtown proper, the immediate metro area, I don't want to say it's fine because they're warning people about particulates and haze and the smog created by the fires. Now today was beautiful. I mean, it was clear, blue skies, but there are particulates in the air, and so they're cautioning people who live downtown. If you're familiar with the Rose Bowl, if you've been to Pasadena, just picture the San Gabriel Mountains right behind the stadium. It's just an incredible postcard view. Just to the north and east of Pasadena is Altadena. And that's where one of the more serious fires is, and one labeled Easton. And they've got that about 12 to 15% contained. Now, once the skies cleared, the overcast moved out a couple days ago. These gigantic C-140s have been able to fly over, get low enough. Obviously, the mountains create some altitude issues. But the firefighters have just been unable to get into the foothills and the mountains to battle these fast-moving infernos. But the planes from up above have been able to drop a ton of what they call pink suppressant, which has stifled the fires significantly. They're not out yet. There's 5 of them. Still 3 of them are under control, or at least they've been limited geographically. The other 2 are not. So you know what? When we're talking about a fire of that magnitude getting close to the Rose Bowl, I mean that does bring it into perspective as to how serious things have been, and people have lost everything: homes, belongings, pets, relatives. So it is really a disaster situation. They're labeling it as the worst ever to hit L.A. Of any kind. That includes earthquakes, any snowstorms, rainstorms. So we wish them all the best, and then we don't want to go too long here talking about something other than Iowa basketball, but it does bring home again there's so much more than athletics that we need to be worried about.
Hell, absolutely. Worry about each other and worry about your neighbors, worry about your family. And one video that they had was like the beginnings of the Altadena fire. They had it on their doorbell cam, and it was a power line that went down and flash. And 15 minutes later, it had engulfed the entire neighborhood. The people had barely enough time to grab what they could to get out. And just can't imagine, keep thinking, if everything you had, Gary, in your house is gone. I mean, you have the clothes on your back.
Blink of an eye.
Hopefully you can grab your pets, your dogs, your cats, whatever it might be, and your valuables, and you got to get out. And these people are prepared that live up in the canyons, up in the hills up here, but you're never prepared for anything like that. So it's surreal, but it's life. And we just, again, we think about them. You think about them all the time when you're out here because it is on the news cycle all the time.
And 2 other quick points. What's amazing to me is with these winds, the Santa Ana winds, they've got labels for that usually are attached to a mountain range. San Gabriel Mountains, the San Gabriel winds, all coming off the Pacific Ocean. They really get nasty, and it blows these flames and fires so fast through a neighborhood. I was looking at some of the TV here locally today, and as an example, Tom Hanks' mansion up in the foothills, not touched. And 50 feet to his right, a $10 million mansion completely burned to the ground. And one on his left completely burned to the ground. And who knows, those things get going in different directions. And they've gone all the way down to Malibu, all the way to the beach.
All the way to the ocean.
All the way to the ocean.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, if you can imagine those of us that lived or in the derecho in Cedar Rapids back then, those type of winds with fire attached to it, it's like get underground, I guess. I don't know.
And regardless of what the name of the winds are, when we got in here Sunday night from Iowa, the plane landed about 8 o'clock. I flip on the news when we get to the hotel, and they say that because of those winds, once the fire reaches its peak, it's throwing roughly 180 million embers a minute
into
the air, all different sizes. Yeah. And those things are blowing all over Southern California, and they could start easily fires all over this portion of the state, and helped in large part by the fact they've had 0.8 of an inch of rain here in the last 8 months. Think about that.
Nothing.
Yeah, Zippo.
There's no water. Yeah, you see all that.
Imagine how dry it is. And now the power companies are shutting down the power supplies because if the wind would, and it has, snapped a wire or two, a high wire, that thing drops down into that brush and scruff as dry as it is, and it arcs. And that could very well have started one or two of these fires, or maybe all of them, who knows. But the investigation will continue on. So that's our opening monologue about the disaster that has hit L.A. County, and our thoughts and prayers are with those folks. Many of them, obviously, sports fans just like we are. They're either USC or UCLA grads, and they're delighted like we are that both these schools are in the Big Ten, Bobby. And the Hawkeyes, they were running around fired up at practice today. Hawks improved to 3-2 in Big Ten play over the weekend against the Indiana Hoosiers, a very good Indiana team, with an 85-60 shellacking of Mike Woodson's club. Coach Woodson's worst defeat in his 5 years at Indiana. That tells you something. The Hawkeyes' largest win in the series over the Hoosiers since 1996. So there's a lot to build on. I mean, the great comeback in the second half against Nebraska carried right over to Saturday night, and hopefully carries over to the rest of this week and on.
I was going to say, it was a great week for the Hawkeye basketball team there, and Peyton Sanford got it going there in the second half versus Nebraska, and again, almost a mirror of that versus Indiana. Peyton got going, but he was voted Big Ten Player of the Week, co-Big Ten Player of the Week, so congratulations to Peyton. And as you mentioned, as we watched practice, kids had a ton of spirit, ton of energy, went over the USC scouting report, and should be a good ball game tomorrow night.
USC is 10-6, 2-3 in the Big Ten. The Hawks are 12-4 and 3-2. And if USC didn't have Iowa's attention before, it certainly does now after Southern Cal went into Champaign and whipped the Illini.
Yeah, I watched it. That was a good game. Illinois without Jacatunis, the freshman sensation that they have, but it's still, they couldn't get over the hump. USC just ground them down. It was a grinded-out game, and they got 31 points from their star. Was it Desmond Claude, a young man that transferred from Xavier, 6'6" guard. He had 31 points. He's a 16-point scorer, but he was unstoppable. This isn't a team that shoots a ton of three-point field goals, but they'll control the tempo of the game. They try to control the tempo. Reading Eric Musselman's comments afterwards, he said, we come down, we wanted to control the game. We didn't want to shoot up quick threes. We either wanted to get it to the basket. They're a driving team, so your defensive transition has to get back, get set, stop the basketball, and make them play in the half court. So conversely, the Hawkeyes have to get their running game going. They're at their best when they can get going, when they can shoot some transition threes. We have a lot of guys that can do that, but great effort last week by those Hawks to get to 3-2.
USC, they don't want to run. They can run. They can be up-tempo, but they're more of a half-court, wear you down. To your point, a drive it to the basket. They play three guards, and there's not one of them under 6'6". 6'7", 6'6", and a kid that's 6'8". And you mentioned Desmond Claude. He had 31 against the Illini, the incredible performance the other day. They have another guard forward named St. Thomas, S-A-I-N-T. He's apparently been crowned or coronated already as a saint, and he'll be running around out there. He's from Omaha, started out at Chicago Loyola, and then transferred to Northern Colorado. And Coach Musselman found him and brought him in this year. He's averaging 10 points, 6 rebounds. Chi Abo is their best shooter, a kid out of San Diego who started his career at Texas Tech, ended up at Boise State, and now here he is at Southern Cal. 11 of their 14 rostered players are transfers. Does that speak volumes about what we're facing today in college basketball and football?
We've seen so much this year, Gary, to be honest with you. And Eric Musselman was brought in here last year after Andy Enfield left, and he was the former Arkansas coach, so he went out and got his guys, and he's building that program back up again. So Eric Musselman, played against his father, Bill, who was a longtime coach with the Timberwolves, the original coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And before that, he was at the University of Minnesota. So Eric Musselman has coaching in his blood.
Got some Midwest roots there with his dad, who was a great coach, Bill Musselman, both collegiately and in the NBA. So there's our opening bit about the University of Southern Cal Trojans. The Hawks head up to Brentwood and Pauley Pavilion, the UCLA campus, Friday night. Big week of basketball out here on the West Coast. When we come back, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we're going to visit with Joe Parker. That name should sound familiar by now. Joe's in his first year as Deputy Director of Athletics for Strategic Initiatives. He's the Chief Operating Officer for the Iowa Athletic Department, and we'll find out a little bit more about Joe, how he ended up in Iowa City last summer and doing a great job in his first year of balancing everything that involves NIL and the transfer portal and fundraising mechanisms at the University of Iowa. Joe Parker joins us here shortly. Now, you can reach Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey. You would like to comment or ask Coach a question, you can reach us on Twitter at Gary Dolphin, on Facebook at facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks. We have a U.S. Cellular text line this year. Thank you, U.S. Cellular, one of our fine sponsors. That number is 319-853-8344. 319-853-8344. You can text us a question or a comment. And you can even reach us by email. The address there is hawktalk@HawkeyeRadioNetwork.com. hawktalk@HawkeyeRadioNetwork.com. The Hawks in Southern Cal tomorrow night at about 9:30 start time on the Iowa Hawkeye Radio Network. We'll be on the air at 8:30 with an hour-long pregame coverage per usual, and we hope you can join us for a late night Hawkeye basketball game at Southern Cal. We'll step out, take our first break. Our presenting sponsor, of course, the Hyatt Regency. Hyatt Regency and Coralville's River Landing. Coralville, or the Regency, Watermill Kitchen and Bar. Man, that's where we normally have the show, and we'll be back there next week. It's tastefully redecorated. The food's great. You can watch the show live each and every Monday night, typically. And each week, they're offering an extended happy hour at the Hyatt Regency, including $1 wings, $3 drafts and domestics, and $5 house wines. Come on down to the Watermill Kitchen and Bar any night, but especially on Hawk Talk night. Join us for a great evening of Iowa basketball talk. We're also brought to you by U.S. Cellular. As a proud sponsor of the Hawkeyes, U.S. Cellular wants you to make the most of today by choosing game day traditions first and scrolling later. U.S. Cellular, built for us. Back to Los Angeles and Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey in just a minute, presented by Learfield.
Conference play is here, and you could be there in style with the Iowa Lottery. Play the new 9s in a Line scratch ticket for your chance to win cash, or see the Iowa women's basketball team take on UCLA in February. Enter any non-winning scratch ticket in the VIP club today for a chance to win exclusive seats with complimentary food and beverage service, parking, and $500 in spending money. Women's basketball, men's wrestling. It's your choice in the prize zone. Check out ialottery.com/VIP for details and play today.
Woohoo! Hawk fans, be sure to visit and connect with these local business partners of the Iowa Hawkeyes, located in the Des Moines area. Car Law, Community Choice Credit Union, and Royal Flooring. At Community Choice, it's simply a mortgage. No hoops to jump through or limbo sticks to go under. Just a straight, easy path from point A to point B. It takes less than 60 seconds to get started at unpackyourmortgage.com. Loan approval subject to credit score and analysis. See Credit Union for details. Equal opportunity lender.
Hawk fans, stop in and visit the newly renovated guest rooms at Hyatt Regency Coralville Hotel and Conference Center, located in the heart of Iowa River Landing. Stay within walking distance of Extreme Arena, home of the Hawkeye volleyball team, as well as great restaurants, shopping, and scenic walking trails along the Iowa River. Hyatt Regency Coralville is also the home of Hawk Talk with Jan Jensen and Fran McCaffery. Come together at Hyatt Regency Coralville, where everything you need is right here.
I'm Nick Jackson. I play linebacker here at the University of Iowa. On the field, I stop the run, I make the tackle, I drop in coverage.
3rd down 11. Straight back to pass to Sullivan. He's running for his life. Down he goes. That's a loss of another 6. Nick Jackson.
Off the field, I help my body's defense by choosing vaccines that are right for me. Ask your doctor or healthcare provider which vaccines are right for you.
A message from Iowa HHS.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Corn can even fuel your drive to watch the Hawkeyes play when you choose Unleaded 88. It's a fuel that's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So as you head to cheer on the Hawkeyes this season, don't just fuel up. Pump it up with Unleaded 88. Find Unleaded 88 at a station near you. Go to iowacorn.org/88.
Hello, Iowa. Here's a promise. Wherever you are in this great state, University of Iowa Healthcare is here for you, even if you never walk through our doors. Educating, caring, leading research, sharing our expertise with all. Because we believe that UI Healthcare is here to make all of Iowa better. UI Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. Visit uihealthcare.org.
We're back in Los Angeles, Gary Dolphin, with my broadcast partner Bobby Hansen. Iowa Southern Cal tomorrow night here from L.A. out at the Galen Center on the USC campus, and then it's on to UCLA Friday night. But first things first, the Southern Cal Trojans 10-6, 2 wins, 3 defeats in Big Ten play. The Hawkeyes are 12-4 and 3-2. We'll get back to the matchups and the breakdowns of personnel with Coach McCaffrey here shortly, but wanted to bring on Joe Parker. Joe is the Deputy Director of Athletics for Strategic Initiatives and the Chief Operating Officer in the Iowa Athletic Department. Joe's been in town for, a little less than a year now?
Just over 6 months.
Just over 6 months. Yep. Okay. Yeah, he came in here from Colorado State, if memory serves me correct.
That's correct. I was there for 9 years.
But you're well-traveled. I mean, you've been to some big-time programs, Oklahoma most notably, Texas Tech. So you've raised a lot of dollars and balanced the bean sheet at a few campuses.
I've been really fortunate in my career path. I have, yeah. No, some really good places.
Where are you from originally? What's your background?
Battle Creek, Michigan's my hometown.
Oh, so you grew up in the Big Ten footprint.
I did. I was Midwesterner in the Big Ten footprint, as you said, and went to school just down the road.
That school up north, right?
Not north. It was.
Well, Ohio State calls you that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, now, so was Battle Creek? Is your allegiance Michigan, Michigan State? Is it Western Michigan, Central Michigan?
My allegiance is the Hawkeyes.
Well, I know
there
that.
You go.
But the winged helmets kind of mesmerizes kids when they're growing up, no matter where you're from.
Yeah. I spent 4 years on that campus.
Yeah, you were an athlete. You're a student athlete,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I was a student athlete at Michigan, so I swam, jumped in the water a few times. Yeah.
What was your event?
I was a sprint freestyler, so 50, 100, 200 freestyle, and then the freestyle relays.
Fast.
Tried to be. That was the goal. Yeah, that was the goal.
Coach Munt's doing a great job with the Hawkeye swim program.
Yeah, Nate's doing a great job. Yeah.
Of course, that facility would rank
unbelievable. I mean, I'd heard about it because the pool I remember was the Fieldhouse pool.
The old Olympic.
Yeah. It's still there.
We swam duels there, and I know I've seen it.
It's still leaking water there, I think. Did they get
but the new natatorium is world class, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's and right downtown makes it really exciting. I mean, you've got bars and restaurants right there, and quite a workout facility for the campus for the students.
Yeah, it's a great resource for the campus.
Beth Getz, she's special, isn't she?
She is. Yeah, Beth is awesome, great leader, high national profile. Is doing a wonderful job for the Hawkeyes, and proud to be a part of her team.
Joe Parker from the Iowa Athletic Department, Deputy Director of Athletics for Strategic Initiatives. Somewhere between all those vowels is NIL and transfer portal and balancing that, managing and budgeting for it, I assume.
Yes, when Beth was decided to post the position, she gave a lot of thought to kind of how she wanted to structure it, and the piece Strategic Initiatives is to try and she wants someone to keep their eye on the horizon, to think and understand what was coming down the road for college sports and plan for how we were going to build the model here at Iowa as we, work towards the settlement and consider revenue share and maybe ongoing impacts of NIL and certainly transfer portal, but always making those adjustments and being prepared for what's ahead.
The cliff notes, because I know things haven't totally been decided yet, but can you explain to our listeners again a little bit of what is coming down the line here?
Sure. When I speak of settlement, there was 3 antitrust lawsuits that were adjoined. We're expecting a final decision in April, and if the final decision comes, as it's been agreed upon, there will be an opportunity for us to share revenue directly with our student athletes. There's a part of the settlement that will address the damage class. It's reaching back 5 years from summer of 2021 when NIL was permissible. So part of it is to grant financial settlement with those student athletes that didn't have the advantage of NIL, and they can only reach back 5 years. So that's part of the settlement. But then looking forward is what we're obligated to, and that is to try and create up to, in the first year, $20.5 million to share out to our roster members. So that's a big part of what we're trying to accomplish right now. I've told the staff and people associated with the department, the great news is we generate $150 million a year. The challenging news is that we spend $150 million a year. And so in the effort to try and carve out $20 million to share with our student athletes, we got to think through, the way we spent our money to try and reallocate some dollars. Part of the settlement does include roster caps, so we will be limiting the number of students on each of our rosters, and that's not a great thing. We want to provide opportunity, and in this case, we're going to reduce opportunities for students to participate. But by doing that, there's some cost savings because we'll serve about 100 less student athletes. And then we've got to kind of, as I said, think through some reallocations. But then a big piece of it is we got to figure out a way to generate more revenue too. Part of that is, great news. We're a member of the Big Ten, and we are a power conference. And our TV deals attract a lot of viewers, and that means revenue to the department, to every member of the Big Ten. So that'll be a piece of it as we move forward. The CFP was restructured with the way that they distribute revenue, so that's a bigger share coming to the Big Ten and the SEC, which will be helpful to us. But then we're going to have to call upon our Hawkeye fans to do more and help us and make it possible for us to be prepared for what's ahead.
Ohio State and Notre Dame in the championship game. I know if you're a Big Ten fan, you would love to have seen Penn State against Ohio State, but my point in all that, and good for Notre Dame, a great program, and they walked the Big Ten to the altar back in the early 2000s, and then said, we're doing pretty good as an independent. We get to keep all that money ourselves, and I can't blame them for that. But in any event, the fact that Ohio State is in that champion, every Big Ten victory, Penn State won 2 games, as I remember. Every Big Ten victory in the playoffs meant more millions of dollars for not only the schools but for the conference. Correct? Revenue sharing. Yeah,
I don't know the exact value of the share, but every team in and every win by those teams means more money to the participating conferences, the conferences that are represented. So that was good news. I mean, that was great for us to get our teams in and see as many teams win. So.
But when you talk that type of budget that you're talking about, I mean, it's a couple $1 million, isn't it, to each institution plus the Big Ten gets a share of it. Yeah. So it's helpful. I mean, when we within the next 2 or 3 years, the distribution for the Big Ten will be about $75 million to us. So that's is that new money then?
Some of that is new money.
Some of it is, okay.
Yep.
I was reading the other day. I
wish it were all new money. Then it'd be really easy to
we'd be on our way then.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I was like, that's new money.
But if the deal is
if
the deal is agreed to and signed in April, this will start July 1st, I believe.
Correct.
They're right in there. And I was reading where that $21 million or $20.5 million will go to $30 million by 2030, and it has a lot to do with the television revenue. But while that sounds like a lot of money coming in, there's a lot of money going out, so your job is to allocate it appropriately.
Absolutely, yeah. And, Beth has done a really nice job in kind of, surveying the landscape, understanding where we need to make those investments in our rosters, and we're prepared to adjust as needed. But the settlement represents a 10-year term. So, and as you referenced, There's escalators over the life of the term, about 4% a year, but then there's also look-ins, as they say, which will give the plaintiffs an opportunity to reevaluate the revenues that's generated by the Power 4 schools and then adjust that rev share number.
What are your major concerns down the road out on that landscape? Obviously, there'll be some boundaries, some barriers put in place so this thing just doesn't get out of hand. But what right now in 2025, what are your major concerns about this plan, this setup?
Yeah, I think for those of us that have been long-term practitioners involved in college sports, whether you were a participant, like many of us who are administrators as student athletes when we were students or as we are administrators leading, we want to maintain the traditional experience as much as we possibly can because there's so much value in the development that occurs for young people over those 3, 4, 5 years. The
experience of 4 years on a college campus.
I mean, in my opinion, there's very little that a young person can be involved with that gets them more prepared for what's ahead in life. When I stepped off the campus that I was a part of as an undergrad, I felt fully formed as a human being, ready to accept any challenge that was put in front of me, and I think that's what we do. We put young people in a position to assume leadership and understand how to manage their lives moving forward. And a big part of that is, avoiding... I'd like to see us always maintain the student-athlete relationship and not trigger employee status.
I agree, and that's my question. When does this cross the line of being an employee?
I think we're getting close. Yeah, I think we're getting close. You're never certain exactly what will be the tipping point, but I think we could get some favorable legislation out of Congress. What could help.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Joe, before we let you go, we could do a 90-minute show just on Joe's position and what he's handling on his plate, but. Before we let you go, where can fans help out? You mentioned we need the Hawkeye fans. There's some confusion out there that the swarm will go away July 1st. Is that accurate?
I think there's still some uncertainty. Part of the settlement is to try and put some controls over what collectives have been doing. Mm-hmm. So Brad and the group of board members that have propped that enterprise up and kept it operating and helping our student athletes. We give a ton of credit to what they have done, but beyond July 1st, we're not exactly sure what it will look like. I think Brad and that team stand ready to assist in any way they need to. But eventually we're hoping that revenue share will kind of take over the role that a collective had done in the past.
So just write your check out to the athletic department, and whether it has Swarm on it or Joe Parker or the University of Iowa.
We've got to keep people engaged. People have to continue to feel energized about the Hawkeyes and buy tickets and show up and cheer the teams on and support the I Club and the Swarm for the near term, and then eventually we're going to ask people just to hopefully transfer a lot of that support directly into the department.
And the foundation does a great job.
They do.
People in the foundation. So.
They do. Yeah, Kevin Collins and the A-team, they do a fantastic job.
Stay tuned.
Joe Parker, we'll have you back. I can promise you. Great stuff. Great insight. Thanks for sharing. Hopefully now we've educated our great Hawkeye fans a little bit more about NIL and the Swarm and where it's all going.
You bet. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Joe. Great job.
Go Hawks.
We'll take a break.
Go Hawks.
Coach McCaffrey will join us in just a minute, and you can reach Fran on Twitter at Gary Dolphin or on Facebook at facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks. The U.S. Cellular text line, 319-853-8344, or email us at hawktalk@hawkeyeradionetwork.com. More from Los Angeles on Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey, sponsored by the Hyatt Regency, in just a minute from Learfield.
Tournament Club of Iowa, designed by golf legend Arnold Palmer. TCI is his only signature course in the state. TCI is a public course offering a challenging yet enticing experience for golfers of all levels and is managed by Kaler Golf. Cap off your round with breathtaking views and a delicious meal at the TCI Bar and Grill. Looking for a unique setting for your wedding party or outing? Look no further than the newly renovated clubhouse at TCI. Visit tcofiowa.com to book your tee time today.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024 U.S. Bank.
At U.S. Cellular, we believe in having healthy relationships with our phones so we can have better relationships with each other. Introducing Us Mode, a way to set your phone for less distraction and deeper connection. So dinner can sound less like this and more like this.
What'd you learn today? The sauropod was the tallest dinosaur ever.
Oh my goodness. Visit U.S. Cellular in-store or online and we'll help set your phone to Us Mode, even if you're not a customer. U.S. Cellular, the 5G network built for us. See uscellular.com for details.
Hello, Iowa. Here's a promise. Wherever you are in this great state, University of Iowa Healthcare is here for you, even if you never walk through our doors. Educating, caring, leading research, sharing our expertise with all. Because we believe that UI Healthcare is here to make all of Iowa better. UI Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. Visit uihealthcare.org.
Time now for the Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield Health Coverage Report. When you enroll in a Wellmark individual or family health plan, you get an HMO network that includes over 32,000 providers. Plus, you get support from a company that's been serving Iowans for 85 years. Now, those are some impressive numbers, and that's health coverage you can feel confident in. Find the right plan for you at wellmark.com/covered. Enrollment ends January 15th.
I'm Y.A. Black, defensive line, Iowa. On the field, I take on double teams, stop the run, and sack the quarterback.
Sullivan now runs for his life, and he's obliterated by Y.A. Black. Here's the snap, the spot.
Yes, and it's blocked it. Kick is back to the line of scrimmage. Don't touch the ball.
Hawks get it back. Y.A. Black, that man, what a momentum shift there.
Off the field, I help my body's defense by choosing vaccines that are right for me. Ask your doctor or healthcare provider which vaccines are right for you.
A message from Iowa HHS.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk with Iowa basketball coach Fran McCaffery, who joins us now after a practice over at the Galen Center on the USC Southern Cal campus. The Hawkeyes and USC tip-off tomorrow night, 9:30 Iowa time. We'll be on the air at 8:30 with our Hawkeye pregame coverage, including an extended interview with Coach McCaffrey at that time, as the Hawks and USC get together for the first time as Big Ten foes. It's Iowa's first trip to Los Angeles since beating Florida State and UNLV in the 1988 NCAA tournament. What thrills those were against two really quality teams. And Coach, what Bobby and I got to see maybe the first 45 minutes of practice today, the guys are alive. They're running all over the place. They're running into each other, trying to get their defensive mentality and proper posture for tomorrow night. And I think a lot of that synergy and energy comes off two great wins last week against Nebraska and Indiana. Boy, you put it together for 40 minutes against the Hoosiers.
Yeah, we sure did. That was about as well as we can play. We had that one stretch in the first half where they came back on us. But even then, we had good shots. They just didn't go. So it wasn't like, the stretch we had against Wisconsin where we were quick shooting the ball and settling for jump shots. And we had good open shot opportunities. We did have about 3 turnovers in that one stretch that we got to get rid of, and they didn't do that in the second half. So, yeah, they were locked in for those 2 games. Fred brought his team to town, and they were playing really well. Really well. Very good team. Indiana was playing really well. They were 13-3. They had like a 5-game winning streak, and we put it together at home. Now what we have to do is put it together on the road. That's the challenge, especially in this league.
And, Coach, go back to that Nebraska game when you were down 15 in the second half. What was your message to the team? And they responded.
Yeah, Bobby, there was a lot of time left. A 15-point lead, that's 5 possessions. So the first thing you got to do is creep back into it. We scored the next 5. Now it's 10. All right, now it's manageable. Then we got another 10, and then we got it back to even and took the lead. But the key is not to panic and put your head down and drive into packs of people and force the issue. Say, I'm going to take over. I'm going to go score on 5 people. Nothing changes. You've got to move the ball and execute your offense if you're running motion. If you're running sets, you got to execute the set and read how they plan it. Are they switching? They play a very unique style of defense. They're going to be over. They're going to force you to one side, try to keep you to one side. So if you move it, you can get shot opportunities from the perimeter. I think what did we make? 16 threes in that game?
17,
so
I think it was. Yeah.
You're going to make threes if you take care of the ball, move the ball appropriately, and that's what we did.
And take good shots. And Peyton Sanford, tough first half in that one, but he got himself together. And talk about his play and how that kind of got everybody going.
He did that twice last week. He didn't play well against Indiana in the first half. I mean, he just very uncharacteristic for him. But true to his character, he's I got it. We're good. And he was really, really tremendous. You get 30 in the second half, and you get 23 in the second half, and you're the Big Ten Player of the Week, Dickie V's National Player of the Week. That tells you that you accomplished a lot of things. But the thing that I like, he's rebounding the ball. We're playing a smaller team, so he has to rebound. But at the same time, we want him handling the ball. We got 4 guards out there essentially. So I'm just really proud of him and his leadership in those situations.
I heard a reporter ask you this question early in the week. I think it was one of your Zoom calls. Was, had you ever seen one of your players go off like that? And your answer was what I was exactly thinking. Jared Utah had 30 in that half. We didn't win that game, but this one we won. But that was incredible too.
Well, it was on the road, and it was in the first half when we needed to establish that this is a team that's ready to play, because they had a really good team. We had a really good team, and I challenged him to be the best player on the floor, and he was. Now they really went after him in the second half, which opened things up for other people because it makes sense. Guy gets 30. We're going to trap him. We're going to ice him. We're going to double him. Whatever. And other guys stepped up, came down to the last possession or two. But what Peyton did was, all in the second half, like you said, Bobby, we're down 15, come back and take the lead, and get home with a W. That was critical.
And get home in overtime.
Yeah.
Where you got stung with a 3-pointer at the end of a regulation. Could have got you, but you guys had their head.
They really could have hung their heads on that because we said we were going to foul. We told the officials we were going to foul. And 2 guys thought they fouled.
They did.
And so they're mad, with the refs. And the refs, I didn't think it was enough there to call the foul. You're into your shot, so you don't want to linger and foul the 3-point shooter up 3. So, and we learned from that. We'll go get them the next time. But their focus and maturity and concentration going into overtime in the huddle. I said, okay, we're ready. We're going to be okay.
9-0 start.
9-0 start, and we didn't win the tip, so we got to stop, and then went on a 9-0 run, and that was the key. It's hard to come back, and they kept fighting. They did, and we had a couple goofy turnovers, and we gave up a second shot on a missed free throw. We go up 9 in overtime, going to put them away, which we did. But we made a couple mistakes.
Fran, Drew Thelwell is such a joy to watch. He goes and gets 25 one night, comes back with a career-high 6 steals against Indiana. He is a difference maker in so many ways, given the other talent you have around him.
Well, what's been a real blessing for us, and I think it's been great for him, he was always a point guard, had the ball. Now, he plays a lot of point guard for us, but Brock plays point guard, so he has to play off guard. It's like, throwback. We just have 2 guards out there. They both can dribble, they both can pass, they both can shoot, they both can make plays. They load up their teammates, they don't turn it over. And what does that do? It equates to winning. So I'm thrilled for him. He's playing with great confidence. He's provided exactly what our team needed from him.
How'd you find him?
Well, he went into the portal.
Okay.
So he's pretty well established at Morehead State. Mm-hmm. Winningest player in Morehead State history. Went to the NCAA tournament. Played against Illinois. But I have a good relationship with his agent, who reached out right away. I said, I think this could be a perfect fit for you guys. You appreciate agents that want to do right by their clients. Let's face it, okay, the guy's a friend of mine, but he's representing his client. But he wants to find the right place for his client. So his client excels and has a great experience. So when I started talking to him, it became evident that he was our kind of guy. I mean, from a culture standpoint, from a flexibility, versatility standpoint. And you start looking at some other guys that are in the portal that you're trying to get to know. But I connected with him right away. So did our assistant coaches. And then he wanted to visit. So when he visited, I mean, he fell in love with our guys. Our guys fell in love with him. And it was, we're not recruiting anybody else. This is our guy. And so, I mean, I couldn't be happier. Just a mature, positive, happy, gamer. And those guys, as you know, Bobby, playing a long time in the locker room, there's just no substitute for it. If you have a guy that came here for 1 year, for one reason and one reason only, to improve his stats and get exposure to where he's going to play next year, that doesn't always work. And Drew came to help us win. In the meantime, he's having fun. He's playing great. And he'll be playing somewhere else next year professionally.
Only for the Hawks. Is there a chance he gets that sixth year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say probably not. But I don't know how they're going to handle it. They say we're going to, as of July 1, we're going to go, everybody that comes in as a freshman has 5 years. How does that affect the seniors now? Do they get an extra year? Do the juniors get 2 extra years? Does the sophomore 3 extra years? Or it just starts over with these high school kids that become freshmen and they get 5 years? It used to be so that way you could have a medical red shirt or you could red shirt. And then they started giving you the 6th year, which they never did back in the day. You
had to be really hurt.
Red shirted, but then he got hurt, so we'll give him a 6th year. No, they never gave you the 6th year. You get 5 to play 4. If you get hurt 4 years, that's on you. And so they just started becoming really, really just bending in favor of the student athlete, which I think most people would be in favor of, because for so many years, we've talked about this on the show, for many years, the rule book was written to favor the institution 100%. It was not to favor the athlete. Well, now they went completely the other way. We probably should be somewhere in the middle in terms of having rules that make sense. And just keep in mind, we don't ever want to lose sight of what's best for the kids. We're doing this for them. Mm-hmm. I have a job because of them. These kids come to college to get a degree and learn and grow and experience unbelievable things with their teammates, travel around the country, play on television, prepare for life after basketball, know what it's like to be part of a team, know what it's like to lead, know what it's like to learn, know what it's like to compete when you're not starting. How do I work harder to get a starting spot? How do I work harder to be an all-conference player? I'm not playing, so let's blame somebody. That's not what it is. That's not what character is. We always try to identify those character guys that stay in the fight.
Final question for Drew. I know we got to take a break, but while we're on the Drew subject, I told him on the airplane coming here was like the play of the game was early in the game when knocked the ball loose and then he beat the Indiana player to the ball, recovered it, and dropped it to Brock.
It ran right by him. He was 4 feet behind him.
Yeah.
And I think he just figured it was going to go out of bounds. And Drew ran it down and then threw a nice pass to Brock. Gets the crowd involved. The crowd was great. And that's what winning players do.
Yeah, another winning play.
Yeah.
And in unison with those two, Brock and Drew, who are so outgoing and infectious personalities and attitude, here's Mr. Efficiency, Josh Dix. He just keeps motoring along. He's averaging 15 points, 95% from the free throw line, 50% shooter from the field, 47 from 3, and maybe your best defender. I mean, and doesn't say boo. He never has a face.
Boo, and I only took him out for like 20 seconds in that game.
He played 40.
He played the whole game essentially. I took him out in the last 20 seconds of the game. So he never says he's hurting. He never says he's tired. He never says run plays for me. Just put me out there and I'll help us win. Everybody loves that kid.
Let me do my thing.
Yeah.
We love him. We're glad he's a Hawk. All right, we're going to get to Twitter and Facebook when we come back with Coach McCaffrey. We're here for about another 45 minutes. We're sponsored tonight by Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. They know that quality coverage takes a great team. And with a Wellmark individual and family health plan, you'll get the coverage you need with the doctors you want. Find the right plan for you at wellmark.com/covered. A proud sponsor of Hawkeye basketball is Iowa Corn, and throughout the Iowa Corn Cyhawk series, Iowa Corn promotes honest, hard-working values that are uniquely Iowan. Thank you, Iowa corn farmers who lead the nation in corn and ethanol production, feeding and fueling us all. Go to iowacorn.org and learn how corn grows Iowa. We'll come back with some of your questions on Facebook, Twitter, email, and the U.S. Cellular text line in just a minute. We're out in Los Angeles live with Hawk Talk and Coach McCaffrey, but we're sponsored by our presenters, Hyatt Regency and the Iowa River Landing, the Watermill Kitchen and Bar, where we normally do Coach's Show. We'll be back there next week. Iowa USC tomorrow night, 9:30 is the tip, 8:30 the pregame show here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. And we're back in just a minute on Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey from Learfield.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford Tough Trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
At U.S. Cellular, we believe in having healthy relationships with our phones, so we can have better relationships with each other. Introducing Us Mode, a way to set your phone for less distraction and deeper connection. So dinner can sound less like this and more like this.
What'd you learn today? The sauropod was the tallest dinosaur ever. Oh my goodness.
Visit U.S. Cellular in-store or online, and we'll help set your phone to Us Mode, even if you're not a customer. U.S. Cellular, the 5G network built for us. See uscellular.com for details.
Hawk fans, be sure to visit and connect with these local business partners of the Iowa Hawkeyes, located in the Des Moines area. Car Law, Community Choice Credit Union, and Royal Flooring. Royal Flooring is your one-stop shop for the finest things in your home. Find the best material from the most trusted brands in our beautiful, fully stocked showroom in Urbandale, or shop in comfort online at shoproyalflooring.com.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, or just needs someone to listen, 988 provides a direct connection to free, confidential, and compassionate support. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be quickly connected to trained crisis counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. There is hope. You are not alone. For 24/7 support, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Corn can even fuel your drive to watch the Hawkeyes play when you choose Unleaded 88. It's a fuel that's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So as you head to cheer on the Hawkeyes this season, don't just fuel up. Pump it up with Unleaded 88. Find Unleaded 88 at a station near you. Go to iowacorn.org/88.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford Tough Trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
Welcome back to Los Angeles and live Hawk Talk with Iowa basketball coach Fran McCaffrey. Coach is with us until 7:30 Iowa time tonight, or excuse me, 8:30 Iowa time, and we're rocking and rolling through a show. Bobby Hansen, of course, with us as well. Our engineer-producer is Corey Sheets. Let's give you a U.S. Bank scoreboard update before we go to the questions and comments for Coach. Rutgers today defeated UCLA out in Piscataway, 75-68. Rutgers topped the Bruins. Hawks will play UCLA Friday night. Minnesota gave Maryland a tussle on the East Coast, but the Terps survived the Gophers 77-71. Those were the two games played earlier today or this evening in the Big Ten. Tomorrow, lots of Big Ten basketball. We'll talk about that later. Ohio State's at Wisconsin. For one, Illinois will be on the road at Indiana. NFL wild card football playoff tonight. They're in the second quarter, just started the second period, down in Phoenix, where the LA Rams, lead the Vikings 10-3. Of course, the NFL moved that game out of SoFi Stadium here in Los Angeles a couple days back because of the wildfires going on the hills. Coach, before you got here, we talked extensively about how devastating it has been to those folks up in the mountain areas. It breaks your heart to watch, and it's continuous 24/7 footage, as you know, on all the TV stations here. But it brings home the fact that basketball is a great game, and we love hoops, but there are other issues going on around us, and we just want the folks here in L.A. and California to know that we're thinking about them, and our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Absolutely. It's terrible to see. Can't imagine what it's like to, lose your house, all your belongings, and then, more importantly, there's been loss of life. That's devastating on so many different levels for families. So thoughts and prayers with them. Where we are right now, we're pretty far south of that. So we're safe, and quite frankly, the skies are clear. I thought they'd be a little bit different. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we move forward with our next game. I suspect we won't be playing at UCLA, but we might. We're supposed to find that out tomorrow. But right now we're locked into USC.
And before we go to Twitter or Facebook and email, a word about USC. Bobby and I were talking about Desmond Claude, who had 31 against Illinois the other day. St. Thomas loves to drive the basketball. Abu might be their best shooter. They're well-grounded with guards.
Yeah, very athletic team. Excellent coach, Eric Musselman, been around. Head coach in the NBA, very successful head coach at the collegiate level. Anytime you take over a new job now, which is what he did in the springtime, you got to go get a whole new team. Yeah. They've got 11 transfers, 17 new guys, basically one player returning from last year, and he didn't play that much. Done a really good job of kind of keeping those guys together, getting them to play together. And he's tinkering with lineups, which, as you can imagine, with a whole new roster and a new coach. But he's got some pieces. You mentioned 3 of them, but they're not the only 3. They're incredibly athletic, tremendous athletic power, very aggressive defensively on the ball, push the ball, attack the rim, quick off the bounce, high flyers, and they compete. So we got to be ready.
What do the Hawks need to do defensively right from the get-go?
You got to guard the dribble. You got to guard transition. You got to rebound. A lot of running. Even though they're not sometimes big, he decides to play a 6'4" to 6'8" lineup. Those guys are long and physical and bouncy. So you got to rebound.
4, 5, 6 more rebounds in Indiana the other night. That caught my attention. That was a great stat.
Well, the interesting thing for USC was they out-rebounded Illinois, who was number 1 in the country in rebounding. And they played a small lineup a good portion of the game. But you're right, Dolph. Our rebounding against Indiana was critical to our ability to win that game. And they're big, with Balu in particular. They miss Renew, but Balu is a handful, and I thought Owen did a great job on him. Mbaku is an athletic 6'8". They got a bunch of long athletes as well, but we did a great job there, and we were able to get out in a running game.
We haven't talked enough about Owen. I mean, right from the get-go of the game against Balu, he got to cause those turnovers. Everybody did, but his rebound numbers, I thought Owen was really active on the glass.
Well, that's a game changer for us, for our team. And it's also something that I think really helps his confidence level. When he's affecting the game, not only was it rebounding in points and defense, like you said, but block shots. That was critical. And, I'm just really proud of him. He's really worked on his body, incredibly positive. He had a couple games where, he was in terrible foul trouble, so hard for him to get going. Was still pretty good, but to see him put a game together like that against a quality opponent like Indiana was really special.
Let's pause 10 seconds here, fellas, for station identification. We're at the top of the hour, station ID break. 10-second ID break along the Hawkeye Radio Network. You're listening to Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey from Learfield. And before we take a break here at the top of the hour, a couple questions for Coach. Justin in Iowa City emailed us. Fran, I heard you talking about Desmond Claude. I watched that game that he hung 31 on Illinois. What impresses you most about him? What can you tell us about Desmond Claude?
Well, first of all, he's a really big, strong physical guard. He's 6'6". I don't know what he weighs, but probably 215, 220. But he's an athletic, fairly quick, bouncy. He's got great handles, and he dances with it. And Eric does a good job with him, giving him the freedom to go, to not go, and then go. He waits. They run good actions, whether it be side ball screen or they'll run pick action to post him up. He can go back down game. He's a crafty guy when he gets near the rim with fakes. And he can spin and finish either way. But a guy that plays with tremendous confidence and aggressiveness.
He started out at Xavier University in Cincinnati, and
he was great there.
Yeah,
I saw him in high school. He was great there.
Connecticut kid. He's from New Haven. Yeah,
I saw him.
Desmond Claude, you'll hear his name a lot tomorrow night. Hopefully he's turning the ball over when you hear us describing this play with the Iowa defense. Pete's in the Quad Cities. Coach, just wondering, who's the tallest player you've coached in your career? Maybe Woodbury?
It would be Adam, or it would be I recruited and coached a kid named Nathan Pop. Probably him. He was our starting center when we went to the NCAA tournament in 2001 at Greensboro. He was our starting center when Courtney Eldridge was our point guard.
Yeah.
Nathan was 7'2".
7'2". That'd be a little taller than Adam then. Yeah. Sheila in Cedar Rapids on the U.S. Cellular text line. This is probably a silly question. No, there's no such thing as a silly question, Sheila. Not for our program. I'm wondering if there are certain arenas that certain players shoot better in if they aren't on their home floor. Yeah, I think that's pretty true.
Yeah, I think it's a perfectly legitimate question. There's comfortability in certain things. Where are the stands? Are they closer to the floor? You feel like you're out in the middle of a gigantic space, and people always just talk about the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, because you're playing basketball in a football stadium. Can you really get the depth perception? But the other factors that are involved are what basketball are you using, which is one of my pet peeves, because we should have uniform basketball.
I agree.
And we don't. So sometimes guys just like one versus another. It's nothing more than a personal preference. It's
the feel.
Yeah, it's not an advantage or disadvantage, because everybody plays with the same ball, right? So, and they are the same size and they weigh the same. So, there are definitely some arenas guys like more than others.
Bobby, you were a shooter. Fran's point about the basketball is well taken.
Yeah, I've honest answer, I never liked that Wilson ball. That to me, it looks like we've been playing outside on the concrete with it. Remember when you play it with a leather ball and it get fuzzy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not that way, but it looks that way to me. But we use a Nike ball, Iowa does, but some places have this Wilson ball. But anyway, that's here nor there. But more to the arena. I remember my first game up in Seattle at the Kingdom, squaring on an exhibition game. Fred Brown and I were guarding each other. Downtown Freddie. Yeah, he didn't guard me, like 8 feet off. And I'm like, where is the basket? Because I'm going to shoot this thing. It's hard to find that orange cylinder out there in the middle of a football arena, kind of like the Carrier Dome. Yeah, but, thank you. It went in. He kind of smiled and said, nice shot, Hawk. Freddie Brown called me Hawk, yeah. But anyway, Fran, these Final Fours are all played in these massive arenas at the end of the year.
And, they put the court, if you remember, when they first moved the Final Four games to football stadiums, they would put the court on one side, which is what they do at the Carrier Dome. Well, now, to sell more tickets, they put the court in the middle of the football stadium. So you could have what appears to be a pretty good ticket. You're sitting at mid-court, and you're up a little bit, but you're so far from the court itself. But, the atmosphere, people still want to be there. So you always wonder, sometimes teams, doesn't seem to bother them. Some teams it really does.
Terrible, yeah.
Some teams, just get comfortable as the game goes on, but a lot of times the shooting isn't quite the same as it would be, I think, in a regular basketball arena. But the teams that end up winning are the ones that can perform in those type of arenas when you get to the Final Four.
And they put those courts up on a stage now, it seems like.
It sits up a little. That's when, you're glad you have a really good post player, because that doesn't matter as much.
Neutral settings, indeed. The Hawks are at USC for the first time in a long time. We'll talk about that when we come back in just a minute on Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey from Learfield.
Midwest One believed in us and gave us the money to get started, and it was great.
We're talking with Jack Piper of Jimmy Jack's Rib Shack.
In 2005, they were there when we opened Jimmy Jack's Rib Shack. They've been there every step of the way with funding and great feedback on how to expand our brand. Midwest One Bank has been great, and with the recent uncertain times, we got through it, thanks to Midwest One Bank.
Midwest One Bank. Simply better banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hawk fans, stop in and visit the newly renovated guest rooms at Hyatt Regency Coralville Hotel and Conference Center, located in the heart of Iowa River Landing. Stay within walking distance of Extreme Arena, home of the Hawkeye volleyball team, as well as great restaurants, shopping, and scenic walking trails along the Iowa River. Hyatt Regency Coralville is also the home of Hawk Talk with Jan Jensen and Fran McCaffery. Come together at Hyatt Regency Coralville, where everything you need is right here.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
At U.S. Cellular, we believe in having healthy relationships with our phones, so we can have better relationships with each other. Introducing Us Mode, a way to set your phone for less distraction and deeper connection. So dinner can sound less like this and more like this.
What'd you learn today? The sauropod was the tallest dinosaur ever. Oh my goodness.
Visit U.S. Cellular in-store or online, and we'll help set your phone to Us Mode, even if you're not a customer. U.S. Cellular, the 5G network built for us. See uscellular.com for details.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, or just need someone to listen, 988 provides a direct connection to free, confidential, and compassionate support. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be quickly connected to trained crisis counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. There is hope. You are not alone. For 24/7 support, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org.
At MidAmerican Energy, our 1.6 million customers depend on our energy 24/7. That's why we work 24/7 to deliver the safe, reliable energy you need. To keep our 99.9% reliability record, we're enhancing our technology, improving resiliency, and investing in critical infrastructure. We're generating power from all available resources to cover any increases in demand. And we're innovating to ensure you always have the energy you need. MidAmerican Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
We're back with Coach McCaffrey. Gary Dolphin and Bobby Hansen. Fran McCaffrey with the most victories in Iowa history at 292, including a record 139 in the Big Ten. And it goes for number 140 tomorrow night, as we do. With him, the Hawks and the University of Southern California Trojans. At a 9:30 Iowa tip, 9:30 Iowa time tip tomorrow night. 7:30 out here on the West Coast, of course. And our pregame coverage begins at 8:30 on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Time for the Midwest One Bank Stat of the Week for Hawkeye men's basketball. Midwest One Bank is a proud partner of doers and entrepreneurs. Our teams are ready to help you reach your business goals. It's empowered money management. It's Midwest One Bank, member FDIC. Our Midwest One Bank Stat of the Week. The Moline boys, sophomores Owen Freeman and Brock Harding, both notched double-doubles in the win over the Hoosiers this past week. Freeman had 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 steals for good measure. And Harding had a double-double with 10 points and 10 assists. Fran, that dynamic duo from Moline High continues to put up impressive numbers and really impressive play overall.
They're both winners. And we talked about character earlier in the show. They both have it. Great teammates. Don't wilt under pressure. Handle road atmosphere. Just love having those guys in a Hawkeye uniform.
Owen, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is he playing any differently, not getting an early foul trouble? He's had some issues.
He's really working on that, doing his work early. That's what we always tell him, do your work early before they catch the, in high school, Dolph, he could get by. He just wait and just go block your shot. It's harder at this level. The kids are craftier, they're bigger, they're stronger. Now, he'll still block your shot now.
Yeah.
But he's figuring out where's the ball, where's my man, stay up toward the ball, stay over toward the ball, try to limit his touches, and that way you don't have to worry about fouling.
I was a little concerned the other night. I mean, he was really aggressive, blocking from behind, blocking from the side. My question is, are the officials figuring him out a little bit? Are they being more lenient with him now in terms of body contact?
I hope so. I'm not sure about that. They would tell you, we just call it like we see it.
Yeah, okay.
That's what they would tell you. But he did have some hellacious blocks.
Oh, man.
At a crucial time in the game.
He did.
And thankfully they didn't call it. And that was the right no call.
Agreed.
I think he's getting respect. But I want to give Chip Reeves, I know Fran's buddy, my buddy with Midwest One, another of a Midwest One stat, the fast break points. 26-2, I think it was, against Indiana. That's incredible. Going to need it again tomorrow.
Well, what's special about that is Indiana is typically a team that runs. Like, they're not, sometimes you look at that stat and you're like, well, it's great, except that team walks it up and calls a set play every time. They don't run. Indiana runs. Ballo runs. They push it hard. Rice is quick. But we got our defense back, and that was a very, very important teaching point for that game, and the guys executed it perfectly.
Very critical. Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey will continue in a minute. We're brought to you by the Hyatt Regency. The Watermill Kitchen and Bar on the Iowa River Landing is a brand new menu. They've got exciting new locally inspired specialties like cornbread shortcake, harvest flatbread, and pork belly ragu. We're excited to try these and many, many other dishes throughout the season show. We'll be back at the Hyatt next week, back in Iowa City after this West Coast swing, hopefully talking about a couple victories over USC and UCLA. Back to Facebook, text messages, U.S. Cellular text line quiz queries in just a minute here on Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey from Learfield.
Tournament Club of Iowa, designed by golf legend Arnold Palmer. TCI is his only signature course in the state. TCI is a public course offering a challenging yet enticing experience for golfers of all levels and is managed by Kaler Golf. Cap off your round with breathtaking views and a delicious meal at the TCI Bar and Grill. Looking for a unique setting for your wedding party or outing? Look no further than the newly renovated clubhouse at TCI. Visit tcofiowa.com to book your tee time today.
At U.S. Cellular, we believe in having healthy relationships with our phones so we can have better relationships with each other. Introducing Us Mode, a way to set your phone for less distraction and deeper connection. So dinner can sound less like this and more like this.
What'd you learn today? The sauropod was the tallest dinosaur ever. Oh my goodness.
Visit U.S. Cellular in-store or online and we'll help set your phone to Us Mode, even if you're not a customer. U.S. Cellular, the 5G network built for us. See uscellular.com for details.
Cancer doesn't care. It doesn't care what you look like, how old you are, what you do, or where you live. We do. University of Iowa Healthcare is doing more to beat cancer than anyone in the state. From second opinions to life-saving treatments that happen here first. We lead the way in research, training, and care because we believe that UI Healthcare is here to make all of Iowa better. UI Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. Visit uihealthcare.org.
Conference play is here, and you could be there in style with the Iowa Lottery. Play the new 9s in a Line scratch ticket for your chance to win cash, or see the Iowa women's basketball team take on UCLA in February. Enter any non-winning scratch ticket in the VIP Club today for a chance to win exclusive seats with complimentary food and beverage service, parking, and $500 in spending money. Women's basketball, men's wrestling. It's your choice in the prize zone. Check out ialotttery.com/VIP for details and play today.
Quinn Schulte, I play safety here at the University of Iowa. On the field, I stop the run, I make the tackle, and I get interceptions.
Drosmer to throw, has time.
Yes,
it's deflected, intercepted again by Quinn Schulte. He's running the other way at the 40-yard line. Hawks have another turnover. We're going to slam the lid, hopefully, down. Here's an interception. That'll do it. And it's Quinn Schulte. And down there, the Hawkeyes will have first and goal.
Off the field, I help my body's defense by choosing vaccines that are right for me. Ask your doctor or healthcare provider which vaccines are right for you.
A message from Iowa HHS.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Corn can even fuel your drive to watch the Hawkeyes play when you choose Unleaded 88. It's a fuel that's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So as you head to cheer on the Hawkeyes this season, don't just fuel up. Pump it up with Unleaded 88. Find Unleaded 88 at a station near you. Go to iowacorn.org/88.
We're back on Hawk Talk. Welcome back to the Fran McCaffery Show. We're live from Los Angeles at the team hotel. Hawks concluded practice a little while ago and getting ready for the Southern Cal Trojans again tomorrow night. A later start time, 9:30 Iowa time, 8:30 on the pregame coverage here from the Hawkeye Radio Network. Bobby and I will greet you from the Galen Center. Fran, it's the first time the Hawks and USC have played in a long time, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Not a regular occurrence, but played both more than most. I think part of that was Lute, came from Long Beach. You were telling me today, George Raveling, when you were on the Notre Dame staff, you played USC when George Raveling was a coach.
We did. We had, fortunately, a guy who did the game the other day, LaFonso Ellis. So that
he's pretty good.
Well, for us. That was a fun trip to L.A. We had the big fellow with us, and that was that.
Did you play at the old sports arena?
We did. Played at the old sports.
Right next to
the Coliseum. It was an amazing week. We flew out here. George had them ranked 11th, and we came out here and played them at the sports arena, beat them. Got on a plane, flew to Philadelphia at the Palestra and played LaSalle when they had Lionel Simmons. They were a top 10 team, beat them. Took a bus up to New York, beat North Carolina in the Garden, and then got on a plane and went to West Virginia and got beat by West Virginia. What a week.
What a week.
What a week that was.
An NBA week.
Yeah, Billy Taylor was a freshman that year, yeah.
Who was coaching West Virginia then? Do you remember?
Gail Catlett.
Gail Catlett, who was a heck of a player back in his day. Man, that is a roadmap.
Yeah.
Philly to
L.A., Philly, New York, West Virginia, South Bend.
On a bus, some of it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the life of a coaching staff. Speaking of that, we got a question about your staff. Coach Tim says, obviously, you've got several coaches. What are their roles during the game? I think sometimes people forget about them, but they each have a specific role. I know you rotate your scouts among the assistants.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. So whoever has the scout will have more to say on the bench during that particular game. And at practice, like, for example, you guys were just there. It's Matt Gaten's the scout, so he's orchestrating what they're doing, how we're going to go against it. I'll typically then take over the offense, but last game, it was Sherm, and then Courtney's got the next one, UCLA. But all three of them do a fabulous job in terms of game prep. They do their homework. They watch every game. Then we watch games together. Tristan will watch some film. He'll do a little more of a skill development. But, and Kyle Denning does a little more with the administration of everything. But all of them have the ability and the confidence to contribute on the bench. We're always open for ideas. It's not like, shut up, it's not your game, it's not your scout, so you keep your mouth shut. No, they know our team. They've watched film because everybody's in the meetings. Once we put it together and introduce to the team, every coach is in there. So everybody can, make a teaching point. Mm-hmm. And then also on the bench, to go back to the original part of the question, talk to the players. My personal preference is when they're talking to the players on the bench, positivity. I take a guy out. Maybe I took him out just to get somebody back in. Maybe he'd made a couple mistakes in a row. I don't want my assistants ripping him. No. Talk to them, explain to them, make some teaching points, build confidence, because I would have put him back in. So, you'll notice, people have seen me yell during games. It's typically not at the players. I'm advocating for the players as it relates to the officials, or, sometimes the circumstances on the roads are somewhat curious to where I feel like I have to say something.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only one who can. It's like, well, assistants can't say anything. Your athletic director's not going to come out of the stands and say something. There's only one person who can say something.
That's the head coach.
I've never been afraid to say something because my players expect me to. Because a lot of times, you go back in the day, you're on the road getting a bad whistle, and they're looking at you like, Coach, what's going on here? Like, this isn't right. And so I'll say something. Fortunately, we have the best officials and the best officiating guy in college basketball, Terry Weimer. It's something that's very important to our league office, Tony Petiti. I haven't gotten a T this year. I haven't really had too many complaints. Earl Walton is funny. He's an official who was on the game the other night. I've had him for many years. He used to get my games when I was at Siena. Mm-hmm. And he called a foul at the other end, and I didn't like the call, and I think it was a foul. So I went up to Josh Diggs. I said, "Did you get him?" He said, "Yeah, I got him." So I went up to Earl. I said, "Earl," he thinks I'm going to come complain to him. I said, "I got a first for you." He said, "What's that?" I said, "He actually admitted it."
I got a first for you.
He actually said he fouled him. He laughed.
That's Josh Dix.
That's Josh Dix. Yep, I got him.
We got to work in one more break here before we come back and say goodnight. Hawk Talk with Coach McCaffrey continues after this from Learfield.
Midwest One believed in us and gave us the money to get started, and it was great.
We're talking with Jack Piper of Jimmy Jack's Rib Shack.
In 2005, they were there when we opened Jimmy Jack's Rib Shack. They've been there every step of the way with funding and great feedback on how to expand our brand. Midwest One Bank has been great, and with the recent uncertain times, we got through it, thanks to Midwest One Bank.
Midwest One Bank, simply better banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, Iowa. Here's a promise. Wherever you are in this great state, University of Iowa Healthcare is here for you, even if you never walk through our doors. Educating, caring, leading research, sharing our expertise with all. Because we believe that UI Healthcare is here to make all of Iowa better. UI Healthcare, changing medicine, changing lives. Visit uihealthcare.org.
At US Cellular, we believe in having healthy relationships with our phones, so we can have better relationships with each other. Introducing Us Mode, a way to set your phone for less distraction and deeper connection. So dinner can sound less like this and more like this.
What'd you learn today? The sauropod was the tallest dinosaur ever.
Oh my goodness. Visit US Cellular in-store or online, and we'll help set your phone to Us Mode, even if you're not a customer. US Cellular, the 5G network built for us. See uscellular.com for details.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Corn can even fuel your drive to watch the Hawkeyes play when you choose Unleaded 88. It's a fuel that's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So as you head to cheer on the Hawkeyes this season, don't just fuel up. Pump it up with Unleaded 88. Find Unleaded 88 at a station near you. Go to iowacorn.org/88.
When you live in the Midwest, you're accustomed to leading the nation in certain things, from corn and pork production to eggs and soybeans. And now we're adding another product to that list, clean, renewable wind energy. By investing in wind turbines and partnering with area farmers and landowners, Mid-American Energy is harvesting wind power that's homegrown right in our very own backyard. which not only provides customers with low, stable energy rates, but also the support to make our Midwest communities safer and stronger.
Time now for the Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield Health Coverage Report. When you enroll in a Wellmark individual or family health plan, you get an HMO network that includes over 32,000 providers. Plus, you get support from a company that's been serving Iowans for 85 years. Now, those are some impressive numbers, and that's health coverage you can feel confident in. Find the right plan for you at wellmark.com/covered. Enrollment ends January 15th.
Boy, time flies when you're on the road, having a good time here in Los Angeles with Coach McCaffrey and Hawk Talk. Iowa USC tomorrow night, 8:30 pregame coverage, 9:30 for the tip-off on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Guys, we've got just about a minute left. Coach, one question I want to work in. Is there time for Hollywood or Disney World or the Hollywood Walk of Fame for the players? Do they get to, on a 5-day trip like this, do they get to go anywhere?
Well, typically we say very specifically, this is a business trip. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't matter if we're in L.A., if we're in Toledo. It really doesn't matter. Now, the fact that we're here Sunday to Saturday, essentially, we're going to get home at 4 a.m. on Saturday. We are going to take them somewhere Wednesday night.
Good.
I think we're going to take them to the Laker game, I think.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Yeah. There's much to do in L.A., and again, we wish our brothers and sisters here in Southern California all the best going forward. Stay tuned to the Hawkeye Radio Network station about times, primarily Friday night. We know we'll play. We're just not sure where yet.
Not sure where. We're out here. We're going to play. You know, it could be at USC. It could be down in Irvine. That's what they did with the women's game. They moved down to Irvine. So we'll see.
All right. Hawks and Southern Cal tomorrow night on the Hawkeye Radio Network. We've been sponsored tonight by University of Iowa Healthcare, here for you, and Summit Agricultural Group, committed to Iowa and adding value to Iowa products like corn, beef, hogs, and ethanol. Go Hawks. We'll talk tomorrow night, Iowa and Southern Cal. Good night, everybody.
Live from the Watermill Kitchen and Bar inside the Hyatt Regency in Coralville, this has been Hawk Talk with Fran McCaffery. Brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Hy-Vee. Score big savings with a Hy-Vee Perks membership. Iowa Corn. You might think Iowa just grows corn, but the truth is corn grows Iowa. Brought to you by Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and the Iowa Corn Promotion Board. Mid-American Energy. Look up, look out for overhead power lines. Visit MidAmericanEnergy.com for electrical safety tips. Midwest One Bank is the presenting sponsor of Hawkeye men's basketball. Visit MidwestOne.bank for empowered money management. Member FDIC. Wimmer's Meats, the official hot dog of the Hawkeyes. Lennox and your local Lennox home comfort specialist. Made right here in Iowa since 1895. By your local Ford dealers. Iowa Lottery. Be a VIP with the Iowa Lottery. Visit ialottery.com for details. University of Iowa Healthcare. Changing medicine, changing lives. And by U.S. Cellular, the official wireless partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes. U.S. Cellular, built for us. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.